BMW charged $18 a month to unlock heated seats that were already installed in the car. The seats were there. The hardware was there. The wiring was there. You just couldn't use it without a monthly payment. The backlash was swift and international. It became one of the most mocked business decisions in modern automotive history. BMW eventually reversed it in some markets. But here's what that story gets wrong. The heated seat debacle wasn't a mistake. It was a preview, and most luxury brands are still trying to build that exact model. The subscription feature movement is alive, expanding, and accelerating, and it's doing more damage to luxury car sales than anything else in the market today. To understand why brands are doing this, you have to understand what they're envying. Tesla's over-the-air software updates allowed them to unlock performance improvements and new features on vehicles already sold. Owners woke up to cars that were faster, more capable, or had new entertainment options without visiting a dealer. It was brilliant, and every car brand watched it happen and drew the wrong lesson. The lesson they drew: you can monetize software on an existing vehicle. You can create recurring revenue from a one-time purchase. The lesson they missed: Tesla's updates were additive. They gave people more for free and occasionally sold upgrades that customers genuinely wanted. The goodwill this built was enormous. What traditional brands did was different. They installed hardware, then locked it, then tried to charge for the unlock. That's not enhancement. That's artificial restriction. The psychological difference matters. One feels like a gift. The other feels like a toll. Here's why automakers pushed through the backlash and kept developing these models. A luxury car sold once generates one revenue event. Warranty extensions and service contracts add some recurring revenue, but the fundamental model is transactional. You buy a car, the relationship with the manufacturer largely ends. For a brand like BMW or Mercedes that sells a car for $80,000, the lifetime customer revenue from that single transaction is relatively fixed. Now imagine if 10% of features are software locked at purchase. Subscriptions average $25 per feature per month. A customer keeps the car for 5 years. Multiply that across 2 million vehicles. The numbers are transformative. For the manufacturer, for the customer, the math is brutal. You paid $80,000 for a car and then pay additional monthly fees to use features that exist in the vehicle you already own. This isn't entirely new. The software industry normalized it. Adobe moved to Creative Cloud. Microsoft moved to Office 365. Gaming companies sell season passes. Consumers accepted this in software. But a car is not software. A car is a physical asset. The expectation when you buy a physical asset is full ownership. Subscription paywalls on a physical vehicle created a category confusion that consumers rejected viscerally. You don't subscribe to your sofa. You don't lease your kitchen appliances by the feature. A car sits in your driveway. It has your name on the registration. The mental contract of ownership is completely different, and brands violated it. The damage wasn't just reputational. It was commercial. Luxury car sales in multiple markets showed a consistent pattern. Brands most associated with software subscriptions and feature paywalls saw purchase intent fall disproportionately compared to competitors. Buyers started choosing one generation back. Why buy the 2024 model when the 2021 model has the same physical features and no software locks? Used luxury car values for pre-subscription models held up because buyers preferred the older, fully owned experience. Dealerships reported that subscription feature questions were becoming a major objection point in new car sales conversations. Salespeople were spending more time explaining what buyers did and didn't own than actually closing deals. The irony was severe. Brands introduced subscription features to increase recurring revenue. Instead, they slowed the initial transaction. Toyota and Honda, which avoided aggressive subscription feature pushes, saw market share gains in segments where they previously struggled against European luxury brands. Not because the Japanese cars were objectively better in every category, but because buyers trusted the ownership model. That trust is an asset. When you destroy it, you don't get it back with a press release. Here's the structural issue that nobody in the boardroom seems to have confronted. Luxury is built on the feeling of ownership. Not renting, not subscribing, owning. When someone buys a Porsche or a BMW M car, they're buying a relationship with a physical object. The keys feel a certain way. The door sound is theirs. The car is theirs. It's a statement of identity expressed through possession. Subscription features fundamentally undermine that psychological contract. You don't fully own it. You're licensed to use certain parts of it month to month. If you stop paying, the seat goes cold. Literally. For mass market brands, this might be tolerable. For luxury brands, where the entire value proposition rests on the premium experience of ownership, it's strategically suicidal. There's also a second hidden problem: depreciation signaling. When a buyer knows that the car they're looking at has locked features, they mentally discount the value. I'm paying for hardware I can't fully use. That perception directly hits resale value. And when resale value drops, the total cost of ownership rises. When total cost of ownership rises, the premium price point becomes harder to justify. It's a chain reaction. Subscription features reduce perceived ownership, which reduces resale value, which makes the car feel expensive, which reduces demand. Brands introduced a feature to make more money and built a mechanism that made their core product less attractive. The market is pushing back hard enough that some brands are already retreating. BMW pulled back heavily after the heated seat controversy in several key markets. Mercedes began offering more features as one-time purchase unlocks rather than ongoing subscriptions. Even Stellantis brands quietly restructured how connected features were packaged after poor consumer response. The smarter brands are figuring out a middle path. Sell the car fully unlocked. Offer optional software upgrades as one-time purchases, not subscriptions. Better navigation maps, enhanced audio calibration, performance tuning profiles. These are things buyers will pay for willingly because they feel like additions, not unlocks of things they already bought. The brands that will navigate this best understand one thing: the difference between what a software company can do and what a car company should do is not technical, it's psychological. Software has no physical form. You don't feel like you own Microsoft Word. You use it and the subscription model fits because the expectation was never ownership. A car has physical form. You park it outside your house. You clean it. You insure it. You introduce people to it. It means something beyond its function. Charging people monthly to use parts of something they are already paying six figures for defeats the entire psychological value proposition that luxury automotive is built on. The brands that remember this will retain the customers they spent decades cultivating. The ones that don't will keep losing ground to brands that let people own what they buy. Subscription features didn't destroy luxury car sales alone, but they accelerated a trust erosion that was already underway. The core mistake was treating a luxury car buyer like a smartphone user. They're not the same person making the same kind of decision. A smartphone buyer expects to subscribe to services. A luxury car buyer expects to own an asset. Brands confused two different psychological contracts, and their customers noticed immediately. Luxury buyers don't mind paying more. They've proven that over and over. What they mind is feeling like they own less after paying more. That's the line that can't be crossed. And most luxury brands crossed it anyway. The brands that walk it back, genuinely, not just on paper, will recover. The brands that keep building the subscription wall around hardware that buyers already paid for will keep losing the very customers they spent decades earning. If you want to understand the real business logic behind the decisions that shape every industry, subscribe to Founder Decisions. New analysis every week.